Okay, calm down.
as a member of Congress? What would you be able to actually achieve? What changes would you be able to affect?
Well, I'd start with this. I'd start with enforcing international law. The United States must begin abiding by international law. We cannot become a rogue nation that can help to fuel conflict anywhere around the world and pretend like we don't have anything to do with it. There's that's number one. I'd want the United States to fully participate in the Biological Weapons Convention, the Chemical Weapons Convention, the Small Arms Treaty, to join the International Criminal Court. These are things that would strengthen an international legal structure that would help to maintain peace around the world. On a domestic level, I certainly want to see America's industries brought back. Now, the way you do that, we have to change these trade agreements. The trade agreement with China was a disaster. I voted against China trade when I was in the House. I led the effort against it. I led the effort against the WTO because I saw that it lacked workers' rights, human rights, environmental quality principles. So I want to see, I'll return to Congress to take a stand for economic growth of the American people, for jobs, for education, for healthcare, for to make sure that childcare comes into the equation because so many families are having difficulty right now, for agriculture, to help small family farmers survive. I mean, they're almost extinct right now, and part of it is because the idea of parity went out the window. Another part of it is because family farmers, when they want to pass a farm to the next generation, are getting hit with a huge tax bill. The same is true of small businesses. I want to see, for those who are afraid, well, we're not going to keep the military machine going. You're going to cut the military, Dennis. Well, you know what? We can begin to address technology for peace. That's what the National Aeronautics Space Administration should be about. We don't need a space force. We need to use our technological capacity to improve life on this planet. But part of that is the spin-off effect of exploration does that. And I've always been for NASA developing technologies in an alpha stage and turning it over to in a beta stage to industries to create industries. I mean, there's an endless amount of possibilities in this country. But first, we have to have the will to take a different direction. And that direction must be away from more conflict. It must be to international cooperation. We have to be aware that the rest of the world is starting to pull away from the dollar. If our dollar collapses as the international currency, we're looking at a loss of elasticity in our economy, and the things that enabled us to be able to grow are suddenly going to cause us to be in stasis as a nation. So it all inevitably ends up about economics, and that's something that I intend to focus on a daily basis. We cannot keep spending $1 trillion a year on a military, and plus, the so-called intelligence budgets. What are we about? Is that all we are? Is a leviathan, a military juggernaut? No, we must start to use the resources that we have, which come from the tax dollars that people pay for the people here at home. And that also involves securing the border, because I can never understand why in the world we have not regularized our immigration and just said, okay, everybody, the door's open. That's not the way most of our grandparents and great grandparents came over. And so we need to return to a sensible, sound approach to immigration that does not remotely look like what's happening now.
And one final question for you is, how do economics play into your climate change solutions? Because a lot of people present climate change solutions as something antithetical to workers' rights or prosperity.
Well, let's talk about what our priority should be. Clean water, okay? Anything that pollutes the water is not doing us a favor. So we have to set a priority. Clean water. It's essential for life. I live, on the shore, off the shores of Lake Erie in the city of Cleveland. Greatest supply of fresh water in the world is in the Great Lakes. I have an affinity for clean water, okay? And anything that would damage that, I oppose. I have an affinity for clean air, as we all should. We know that there's some people who want to arbitrage the air and make profits off it and pollute it. And who cares? No, everyone needs to care. We need to have a health consciousness that's connected to the environment. That will lead us to better policies. As far as the issues related to electric cars and things like that, look, um, where do we get these natural resources for the batteries? Will it come from taking over, knocking out other governments, taking over their resources? We have to align our energy policies with our foreign policies. And we have to use things in a way that doesn't quickly disrupt our economy. There is a way to move in a transition to take advantage of technologies, but it's not going to happen overnight. And this is where everyone has to be responsible. We're all stewards of the environment. We can't pretend that somebody else is going to do it. So, every one of us can do something every day. For my part, I'm a vegan for a lot of reasons. I don't preach it. I don't tell anybody else they have to do it, but I have a certain consciousness that develops as a result of my own choices. Everyone has to do what they can to make this a better world. And so I've chose to go into government. I chose to stand again for Congress. We'll see how that works out. Anybody who's interested in helping, go to Kucinich.com and contact us any way you want to help. Thank you. But my commitment I'm a citizen of the United States of America. I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American. But darn it, I don't want to see our country continue to head towards wider and wider war, because there is a point at which, uh, if we enter into a march of folly, following the work of the great historian Barbara Tuchman, if we walk along in a march of folly, we could stumble into a nuclear war. I don't say that out of fear. It's just, hey, people always think they have a better way to do things once they start using violence. But the truth is, violence only leads to more violence. And this is time we better stop it.
Any final words, Dennis? This has been really interesting and informative and inspiring.
Well, thank you, Katie. Look, I chose a career in public life because I think that one person can make a difference. Any one of us out there can make a difference, actually. You don't have to be inside the system, but since I've been inside the system, I've seen the deficiencies, I've seen the corruption, but I've also seen the potential for transformation. So that's why I'm still doing this. I believe in this country. I believe in our Constitution. I believe in American people. And I've traveled the whole country. I've been to all 50 states many times. And what I've seen is there is an underlying unity, and our politics have been used to exploit and to divide. We must start looking at what it takes to become a united states again.